Welcome to another episode of the Zebra Influencer Series. I'm Scott Reyes, your host for this episode. I have the distinct honor of working with alliance organizations that focus in on innovating to resolve operational challenges for our customers. And in my function, I get to help our alliances navigate our Zebra ecosystem. In this episode, we have the distinct honor of interviewing Doug McDonald, who's the Director of Technology at Extreme Networks. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks, Scott. Happy to be here.
Hey, Doug, so for the audience for a little bit, maybe you can give them a little bit of your background. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys do at Extreme?
Sure. Thanks, Scott. So I came from the customer side. So I've worked almost my entire career, last 20 plus years, almost at this point. Don't want to say the full year amount. I guess just that been that long, but that gives me some really unique and great opportunity having now switched to the vendor side. So I've been really kind of a bit of a battle hardened operational veteran. That is, designing, implementing, and supporting really large, complex enterprises. So I started off really in cybersecurity and evolved into the early days of Wi-Fi and cellular, and pretty much touched all areas of IT. In the last decade or so, I was at a very large health system in the Midwest. And there I ran a large majority of the blinking lights there. So from the edge all the way to the through the LAN to the WAN, circuit connectivity, and everything in between. So really, the focus there became how do we strategically align the right technology for the business, and how do we get better outcomes by doing so. And that has led me to Extreme. So I've been at Extreme for just over 2 years now. And Extreme is a great organization. We have 50,000 customers across 81 countries. So we have trusted customers across the globe. And really, what Extreme does is we provide end-to-end cloud-based infrastructure capabilities to provide those better outcomes. So really exciting time to be at Extreme. And that's just a little bit of my background.
Well, that's awesome, Doug. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I know that you said you were on the customer side and now you're on the network infrastructure side. Maybe you tell the audience a little about the exciting things that are happening in Extreme with some of your new solutions that are coming to market.
And what I like about Extreme the most is this notion of focusing on customer relationships and not providing just a tech solution. So when we focus on true partnerships and focus on business outcomes, that allows us to do some pretty cool things. So in the spirit of innovation, and I had previously worked at Henry Ford Health System, obviously a huge innovator, and there's a lot of innovation capabilities that came out of the health system. And that really showed in the technology department as well as every other department across the board. So I've always wanted to be an innovator. And in that innovation opportunity here at Extreme, we're building new applications and capabilities to align with our cloud-based systems to really bring some more light, some better outcomes. And I say this maybe too much, but I think we can focus on business outcomes all day, every day, and it won't be a bad thing. And really, what we're doing is at Extreme is looking at bringing in more capabilities. And we're really excited about the alliance has newly formed with Zebra Technologies and how we bring in better device level data into our cloud.
Well, Doug, thank you for that. Yeah, we're very excited by our alliance with Extreme as well. I don't think you can say the outcome too much, at least not in this forum. We're also an outcome-driven organization. We're looking at creating outcomes with our customers, so we're aligned tightly in that aspect. So maybe we can delve into your one of the new solutions that you guys have, the Extreme Intuitive Insights, and some of the collaborations that we have in there. Can you tell the audience a little bit about what you guys are doing and how we're collaborating with Zebra?
Absolutely. So, Extreme Intuitive Insights is basically a new program here at Extreme. So, what the program's pillars are is to provide those better outcomes. And to do so, what we want to do is bring in other devices that aren't just the great things that you're managing with our cloud today. So, there's switching, there's the routers, there's the access points, there's all this great technology that has these great dashboards and visibility and all these things. But one of the biggest problems I had on the customer side was when there's thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of devices, in the event that there is a issue, how do you isolate that issue? How do you get to the root of what that issue is and fix it as quickly as possible as to not impact business for any longer than is absolutely necessary? So, the premise of Extreme Intuitive Insights is bringing in what we call non purple devices into our cloud. So, what I mean by that is bringing in devices like Zebra into our cloud so that we don't only see just all these great things of what the network is doing, but the devices often, when you look at these kind of legacy type platforms, you see an IP address, you see a MAC address, you see very kind of cryptic information. And yeah, you can by OUI filter some things and you can kind of get an idea. But what's most exciting about Extreme Intuitive Insights with Zebra Edge Insights is the ability for us to now bring in data directly from Zebra and the device. And no longer do you see this cryptic IP address or MAC address. You see that this is, a TC series device that has this firmware that's in this location and that has this type of application performance and has these types of potential issues that are going on and all sorts of different opportunities for when we're bringing in this capability of device level data into our network console so we can overlay the network with that device data. And those two things are very powerful to bring you some better outcomes. I'll give you an example. So oftentimes in working in healthcare and retail and many other types of verticals, the every business now, the network is mission critical. So in traditional forms, and you have a great Zebra device solution, and then you're moving into providing a better service for these. Well, a lot of times we finger point, and not saying Zebra and Extreme, but we as technologists have this thing where we like to point fingers at each other and say, well, it's the network. No, it's the device. Oh, it's the storage. It's the all these different things. Well, this type of platform is going to give us the ability to help identify who's responsible to fix the problem. So we call that mean time to innocence. And not innocence, haha, it's not my group, it's another. It's, hey, how do we get the right people in the right seats to help resolve the problem? And the other is mean time to resolution. So working with a major retail customer of ours, when we started this endeavor, with Zebra specific devices, when they had a problem, sometimes it took weeks to resolve. And we just
Yeah.
don't want to have that type of time. So we're really excited about that capability to bring that outcome based intelligence with this alliance to our customers.
Well, Doug, that's amazing that we have this collaboration and you guys are consuming all this data from our Zebra devices into your Extreme Intuitive Insights. You mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned healthcare. You mentioned retail. Can you expand a little bit on the verticals where Extreme is focused in on, and like what's the next big thing in those verticals?
Sure, absolutely. So I think we're pretty horizontal. So we try to service most verticals. Some of our largest verticals are education, our SLED business in general, which includes the government. We've got a great set of customers in healthcare, as you mentioned. Sports and entertainment has been a very successful area of opportunity for us as of late. We're joining all sorts of new customers across the board and almost a majority of the professional sports in the US. And then working on some great relationships with some football clubs in EMEA and others. So we're really excited about the potential to continue to grow our vertical alignment. Of course, retail and manufacturing is a great vertical for us as well. We have some great logistics as well as some huge retail organizations. These types of solutions that we're looking at providing are really designed to be able to help customers in any type of vertical. So whether you're in that healthcare room and you're looking at scanning some sort of things within the healthcare organization, of course, in retail, whether it's in the warehouse itself or in the stores. Let's face it, we live in a world that demands near perfection when it comes to connectivity. And any
Right.
time that we have any sorts of issues with this tech, it causes real problems, both financially, from a resourcing perspective, et cetera. So we really try to focus pretty horizontally, and we can hone in on any vertical as the opportunity arises to really help with that outcome.
And it's great to know that you guys are big in education and SLED. I think that's a growing vertical for us in the state and local and the government side. So that's a great alignment from a Zebra and Extreme perspective. Obviously, healthcare, retail are larger verticals for us as well. So I think we align, to your point, very well across the board. And Doug, what that brings to mind is more about some of the trends that are happening in those verticals. Can you share with us some of the trends that you're seeing, maybe in SLED or education or any of the other verticals?
Yeah, and I think everyone has the same issues. If you take and magnify any one of those verticals you mentioned, Scott, I think you look at the same problems are everywhere, right? How are we managing or how are we driving this digital transformation that may have already been
Right.
occurring, but the pandemic and some of these things have really driven digital transformation. So overnight, well, we've all been there. IT organizations and businesses have been strained to be able to provide the right services with the right security, with the right capabilities, pretty much anywhere. So you went from maybe managing some great retail stores and manufacturing warehouses or hospitals and clinics all of a sudden to the people that could be they're all of a sudden at home. So how do you extend that network securely? How do you manage that network with a finite number of resources? So I think that digital transformation and what Extreme calls the infinite enterprise, which is providing that capability no matter where you are, whether it's an airplane, whether it's a coffee shop, whether it's your home office, maybe it's from a beach somewhere. I don't know, but really the premise there is how do we extend without a whole lot of usually dollars from a budget perspective and without a whole lot of staff, how do we make that happen kind of magically? And everybody has been put under that strain to make that happen. So I think that's the first trend. The other is just the ability to gain and maintain the right expertise within your team. So if you go to a restaurant, if you go to an airline, if you go to all these places, I think across the board, we're facing shortages of staff. In the schools are facing shortage of teachers. So you name it. It's become more of a challenge. So what I bubble up those two major challenges for, along with a third, which would be budget. The budgets are always strained, always more with less, always more technology requirements, and with the same resource level or maybe potentially less. So how do we as technologists get out of this kind of sell the box kind of mentality, and how do we sell a solution that's scalable that helps meet some of those pressures for our business? So if you have this Extreme Intuitive Insights, it's bringing in actual Zebra device level data. Now I can think about, as an organization, how do I put up my fire hoses for the day when I'm constantly battling issues? How do I become more strategic, more proactive with the data that's available to me, so that I can take some of that staff, perhaps it's been working on fighting those fires, and start to work on how can I be more proactive and provide solutions that have a little bit less of a margin of error from a uptime perspective or from a management perspective, budget cycle perspective. So excited about Extreme Intuitive Insights coming back to that customer side, where this is one of the biggest challenges that we have, I think, industry wide. How do we solve those critical problems and bring that right solution to bear? And that's what this solution is all about.
Yeah, Doug, I mean, I agree. I would love to be sitting by the beach, totally and fully connected, doing my emails and not having any cyber or latency challenges while I'm out there. But that I don't get to the beach that often. So, from the customer's perspective, it's really to your point, like uh, having our alliance, with Extreme and Zebra, giving them the much needed information at an infrastructure level, device level, I think is key. I mean, I believe you mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, which is really how do we create an outcome driven solution that can be packaged up and presented to the customer to really drive home and modify some of the challenges they're having, helping them with some of the challenges they're having, thinking about them first. So that's amazing. Um, so the next question comes to mind, like, is really more about if one of our channel partners or customers want to take advantage of the Extreme Intuitive Insights, like, who do they call? What do they do next?
Great question. So happy to announce that Extreme Intuitive Insights, a partnership with Zebra Tech Edge Insights, is now fully GA ready. It is orderable. Our sales force here at Extreme, we're gaining momentum by the minute for folks that are trained and highly available. So basically, you can pick up the phone and call Extreme. You can call your Zebra folks, and we can get you on the road to this great technology. So we have a ton of joint customers that are using both of our solutions. We're really excited to get them up and running on this platform so that you can get the benefits that you can see from this type of capability. And the technicals are great, and we could talk about the technicals all day long. And
Sure.
hey, we can do synthetic transactions and all these great things that help you troubleshoot. But at the end of the day, I think this is going to be great. Reduce truck rolls and get us to the solution quicker. So by picking up the phone, calling the Extreme sales folks or your partners, we can get you on the road to getting this in your organizations to try and go from there.
I'm glad you mentioned reducing truck rolls, Doug. Some conversations I was having over the last couple of days with some of our channel partners really was around that. How do we help the field service solutions and some of their field techs, first time to resolution scenarios. So it's great to know that we can do that as well. Obviously, we're reducing some operational costs on their end as well. Um,
Yeah, I think
so
that's the key factor when we talk about that. Those truck rolls are,
yeah,
Wi-Fi can a lot of times be very dependent on what's happening in the physical constraints of that building. So if you're in a manufacturing plant and one day it was a bunch of boxes and the next day it's a bunch of metal containers, that's really hard to predict, but it's also really hard to provide great Wi-Fi services sometimes with those that physical environment at play. So I know also well, I'm deploying pretty much an army of boots on the ground. A lot of times you have to go and be at a facility to detect an issue. With this type of application, we have the ability to be able to see a little bit more before we have those finite resources get in the truck and have to go to that particular facility. So, agreed, it's a problem that we're all trying to solve, and I think this does a very good job at getting us to a better place in that regard.
well, Doug, so I'll have to ask this last question, which is: do you have any last thoughts for the audience as they're listening in?
Yeah, I think so. I'm always full of hot air, so I could go on and on. But truly, there's not a lot of times in your career when you meet an organization or a group of people that it just clicks. And I know, Scott, you and I have talked about that. We have like-minded goals, and when you're positioned
Yeah.
to align on those types of goals, customer first and outcome-based things, and have people that really want to make it happen. And this is Extreme Networks' first major foray and to develop applications that are add-ons to that traditional networking company type capability. So it's really a treat, but to have worked with Zebra thus far, and now that we have this thing GA, really excited about how we move this thing forward and how we can get our customers to take advantage. Because really, in the end of the day, with all those constraints we talked about in budget and staffing and the challenge of 24 by 7 by 365 uptime, we're always kind of working in an environment where the airplane is flying in the air and we're kind of doing maintenance on the engine while it's flying. And how do you do that and make that capability happen and be, truly professional IT purveyors while all that stuff's going? In the end, it's simple. The customers just don't want to fumble around with technology. They don't want to blame Zebra. Zebra doesn't want to blame us. They just want the stuff to work. So what I'm excited about is when you get this true alliance to come together, Now we're kind of standing hand in hand with our customers, and we're removing the noise of some of those traditional IT personas of finger pointing, and really getting to the root
Right.
cause, getting to that mean time to resolution, and really driving forward the capability to help our customers do better and with less. And I think that's what I think about every day. And I'm really excited that I get to come to work every day and help build and design and set up these alliances with folks like you, Scott, and make this stuff happen. And it truly makes a difference when you sit in that chair for 25 years as a customer. That's not an easy place to be, and that operational burden of the nonstop calls and the nonstop pressures of keeping your networks up and running. They need better tools to be able to solve these problems more efficiently, and that's what I'm most excited about. So, Scott, thank you so much for having me, and really looking forward to our future collaboration, and excited about what the future has in store.
Yes, sir. Doug, it's been a pleasure working with you. Obviously, we're going to continue to work together. And one of the things I am going to take away from this conversation is mean times to innocence. I thought that was amazing. So let's make sure we trademark that and work on that one, and put that anywhere we can in our marketing briefs. So, Doug, on behalf of Zebra Technologies, I want to thank you for your partnership. I want to thank you for sharing your knowledge with the audience, our channel, our customers, our partners. Um, and as we said, as we always say, we're focused in on innovation, on outcome driven solutions. And stay tuned for the next episode. Again, just give us a quick like, and take a look at the Extreme Intuitive Insights, and take a look at the Zebra.com site. Thank you very much.